Hey, and here we are. Welcome back. It's me, Gazbot Knight, and with me as always,
The big dog defender.
that's right. And we're talking Ranger. It's Ranger Ramblins. It's action activating. It's some kind of Power Ranger thing. I am dealing with my clips here for episode 2. What we're doing, we're always talking Power Rangers. We talk about the news and reviews and things going on, but mainly we're reviewing the newest episode of Beast Morphers, which this week would be episode 2. So I had a little bit of technical issues, so I normally have these screenshots for the episode. Unfortunately, I won't have as many as I normally do towards the end. It cut out. I won't get into all the technical stuff, but we'll do our best to muddle through. In the meantime, while I kind of get this round back to the beginning, Bigdawg, you have any Power Ranger news or announcements or anything you heard about that's of interest?
News announcements wise, kind of stuff we already touched on, but I wanted to give a little more close up on it. So, as Gaz and I had mentioned on prior episodes, and for those who have just seen it in the news, Bandai has lost the Power Rangers license, and now Hasbro is the sole owner of Power Rangers. So, recently, places like Big Bad Toy Store, Entertainment Earth, GameStop, and some other major e-tailers and retailers have gotten a large restock of old Bandai Legacy Collection Power Ranger figures and Morphers, Zords, things of that nature. So I wanted to highlight a couple that I happen to have around. For those that either didn't get them the first time or were waiting for a sale, things like that, I'm going to pan down. Here
Ooh.
is Psycho Blue and the Comic Con version of the Translucent Red
Wait,
Ranger. This
to be clear, the Comic Con version has not been re-released, right?
Correct. So what I was going to say is this is the exact same as the metallic version you can buy. The only difference is this is a chrome sword because it was the Comic Con version, and the regular version has a sword without this paint. Other than that, they're essentially the same figure.
Gotcha.
But for those that don't have them, obviously Bandai has the Lightning collection, so they're going to be releasing and re-releasing some new Rangers, as we see with the White Ranger. But these, in case they don't release them for a while, or there were ones you just want to have now, you don't want to wait, I highly recommend. There's some of the favorites of mine from this week, and
Your audio is getting a little crazy there. Maybe shake
can
your
you
wire. There you go.
can you hear me a little bit better?
Yeah, we were just getting some distortion.
Okay, gotcha. So these ones are a couple favorites. Obviously, very large affinity to the Red Ranger, whether this is Jason or Rocky, whoever you prefer. Very good figure. A lot of the bodies are pretty similar in terms of the range and articulation. Like with Psycho Blue, for example, you get the wrists, double elbows. You can move the arms nice and high. It's got the crunch back, crunch forward, double knees, things like that. Just really good overall value. Sometimes you can find them on sale a little less than $20, which is what I would recommend stocking up on at that price. But just wanted to highlight these for those that were on the fence or thinking about them. Definitely now is the time to get them because after this, we don't know how high they're going to go back up
Totally. And
once
so,
they're
and a
out of
lot of them are.
circulation.
I've seen a lot of them on sale too, especially at GameStop. They'll have, even though the prices are a little bit higher, they'll have it where it's
Mhm.
like 25% off, which will bring it below retail.
Yeah.
Yeah. Up in the real quick up here, when I started this show, I do a lot of art. That's what I'm primarily known for. And I wanted to be drawing Power Rangers art during the show, but I've realized that running the board and talking and stuff, it was just kind of impossible. So last week I just had a piece of art up there. This week I'm going to have a video that's in real time that I did this yesterday, but it's going to play over the course of the show about an hour, and then we'll get
Oh, nice.
a new piece of art at the end. So that's what that is. I won't say what it is, and by the end we'll have something going on there. I guess as far as the news I would talk about is and I lost my date on this. Like I said, I had a little bit of technical difficulty. Let me give myself a one shot. Ooh, it's me, Gazbot. There's a new Blu Ray set. I'm sorry, a DVD set out of the entire Mighty Morphin series that goes for about $100. You can get it on Amazon, and it includes a Blu Ray of the movie, which wasn't in the previous sets released by Shout and stuff. But they are also separately releasing the Mighty Morphin movie as a Blu Ray. I think the full set goes for like 100, and just the movie goes for 16. One is out currently, the other comes out June, and that is the piece of information that I flipped, so I'm not sure which is which, but if you look on Amazon, whichever one's there, that's available now. The other thing is Shout Factory, which we just mentioned, has been putting out Sentai series, and mostly ones that have been adapted to Power Rangers. They had, though, done Jetman, which had been what they call pre-Zoo, like pre-Zoo Ranger, which was Mighty Morphin, and now they haven't announced, but on MMPR Toys, Bruno teased what everyone is saying is going to be Five Man. So they haven't officially announced that, but it's that sort of on purpose leak. Real quick, let me look at chat. I see we got CP3 Blue and Airzuki. Hello to both of you and everybody that's lurking. And let's see. Okay, Airzuki's talking about the category, but I'm not going to worry about that. Video is making some noise when it's playing. Hopefully it's not making noise anymore. And okay, I don't know if she's talking about tech stuff, but if there's any problems, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to assume it's fine right now because that's not something I could deal with at this second. And then C3P Blue, what Power Rangers would you want in the game of Battle of the Grid? I'll get to that. Well, actually, we'll answer that right now. I'm going to go back to the two-shot. I would say for me, I'd like to see another Hyperforce character, actually. We got Hyperforce Yellow, but I think maybe Hyperforce Blue, like Andre the Black Nerd, Andre Black Comedy. And so, I don't know, what about you, Bigdawg?
For a character that would be transferring from Legacy Wars onto Battle of the Grid, I would say I am a big fan of the movie Rangers. My main is actually the new Lionsgate movie Black, and I would want...
More from Audible later in this video, including a book recommendation from me, but for now, start a free trial with Audible and get your first audiobook for free by going to audible.com/brainfood, or for our friends in the United States, you can just text brainfood, one word, to 500-500. There are generally
hey, Dolly girl.
Everyone knows.
Hello.
Garfield. It's all about a cat that hates Mondays, loves lasagna, and it's not really...
Hi, Dangler. Sorry for being distracted, but apparently what Airzuki was trying to tell me is the art video I put up had some background noise that should be turned off now, so hopefully that wasn't too distracting before. But it was, I guess, because when I was recording the video, I was watching podcasts or whatever, and so that was getting picked up. So that should be fixed now. Airzuki, am I the only one hearing some audio about Audible? I don't know what that means. Okay, so... Well, no, you and I wouldn't. It would be people watching it through Twitch. So, yeah, it's up to you guys to let us know. Hopefully it's fixed. So let me, real quick, I had one other thing of news. Oh, wait, hold on. More chat? No, okay. It's still it's still happening. Okay, let me see here. Oh, wait a minute. I know it, right here. That should do it. I turned off desktop audio, but that wasn't it. So it should be fine now. CP3 Blue, I can hear only you. I hear it too. So I think there was some background noise that some people were noticing and others weren't. It should be taken care of now. Please, okay, Airzuki says taken care of. So sorry about that. Like I said, we're still... Audio issues extinct. So we've been tooling the show and adding new things and changing things. Each episode will get a little better. But in addition to that, I had a lot of technical issues earlier today with my computer in general. So I apologize that this will not be as smooth as last week, but we're doing what we can as we go. But going back to news real quick, the other thing I wanted to mention in addition to the DVDs and stuff coming out is one of the... Hold on a second. I think we're still having an issue. Hold on one sec. Sorry. What? Unmute the desktop audio. Okay. I'm unmuting desktop audio. Say something. Say something, Bigdawg.
I'm here, and I'm ready to get that super mega win, as we discussed.
We're waiting for chat to confirm. What a mess this is. I'm sorry, everybody.
Hey, as we're going to jump into
okay, now they can hear you. Okay,
there are definitely problems in the morphing grid, so it's not just us; it's grid-wide.
Well, that means that
appreciate you guys being here through the punches.
What that means, though, is that your whole answer to who you'd want to see in the game probably wasn't heard. But basically, real quick, without the whole big explanation, what were the characters you wanted to see in the game?
The movie Rangers, specifically Lionsgate, Black Ranger, and then Ranger who hasn't been in either game would be Solar Ranger from the comic.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So, no, I appreciate Airzuki. I just keep thinking it's fixed and then it's not. So, so hopefully we'll have less to talk about the episode this week. Otherwise, we're going to run really long. So the other thing I wanted to mention was one of the things, the scuttlebutt, as it were, is we have a returning actor, I mean, other than the face actor, which is Kelson Henderson, is coming back, well, has come back in this episode as Cruz, who is the motorcycle red, which we'll see in the episode. So a little bit of spoiler. But Kelson has been in a lot of stuff. I never saw SPD, which is probably what he's most well known for. I knew him as Mick in Ninja Steel, and while Ninja Steel wasn't my favorite season, he was my favorite part of the season, so it's cool that they're bringing him back. In addition to that, another new character, a new actor coming back this season, they have the new character Scrozzle, and Scrozzle is a U.S. only character from my understanding. He wasn't in Go Busters, and they will be voiced by Campbell Cooley, who is a voice actor, again, has done many roles, a lot of villains, to me most notably as Snide from Dino Charge. And they actually gave us a little bit of a shout out on their Twitter last week, so appreciate that. So it made me even more curious.
Much appreciated.
Yeah, oh no, totally awesome, and it made me go back and like look at some of the other work they did other than just Snide, and it's definitely worth checking out. But they're back as Scrozzle, which again is cool, but also cool that they're introducing another American-only Ranger. Oh, I just realized every time I go to the one shot and come back, the art by Gazbot resets. So that could be a problem. So maybe
we'll never know.
I think we might not do any more one shots for this this episode. Let me check chat real quick. I hear him. It's a Morphin Grid. Samurai Ox, hey! We all talking about Crash tonight? Oh, apparently Ox wants to talk about Crash. All right, well, so is there anything else you want to jump into the episode there, Big Dog?
I say let's get the grid going.
All right, let's go. So first episode, we start off with the title, Evok's Revenge. So obviously this is starting off in the other dimension. I don't know if they named it, but it has this red tint to everything, which...
Yeah, I think they said it had a specific name, but I'm trying to think specifically... I keep wanting to say Antimatter Universe, but I know that's from DC Comics, so that's 100% wrong, but something similar where... At first, when they said, "Oh, they're in a different dimension," I'm like, "Oh, a dimension from somebody else?" No, it's just its own thing. So.
Yeah, I honestly can't remember if they said it at all. I'm also bad with names, as we saw last episode. By the time we're halfway through the season, I'll remember everybody's names. But so we start off in this dimension, and then there's a teleport, and we see the avatars from the last episode. This is where they end up. And I'll say right away, I was surprised that they were their human form. I thought with those actors in the coma, we'd mostly see them suited up as like the evil avatars. So I'm kind of happy for these actors that they actually get to be in it and seen as themselves.
I agree. When they first popped up, I half expected it and was really glad that the actors do get the screen time, because it seems kind of wasted if they just have to be in a coma for, let's presume, half the season before they really get to do anything substantial. But definitely, as we mentioned last episode, a lot of vibes from Jungle Fury specifically with shoot, why am I blanking on his name?
Jared.
Thank you.
Yeah.
with Jared.
Yes.
But definitely a cool way that they explained the motivation of the villains of this season, of why they care about Morphex, why they need to try to get out of this dimension, and why it's so relevant for them to switch between the two,
right?
Instead of just staying the whole time.
Agreed. And I also like, even though they're basically humans, and I think they give them a little bit like evil makeup under the eyes, but they put these kind of digital effects to show that they're like unstable programs. They're not actually humans, to remind us, you know. And then here comes Scrozzle, speaking of which, and I like this whole like dimension they're in. It's very simple, but I feel like the lighting really sells it. You know, oftentimes they'll have really intricate palaces and things like that, and I'm not against that, but like this makes me feel like it's some sort of, you know what it reminds me of in Thor Ragnarok, when they end up in that middle of nowhere kind of world of like, but this guy here is like, I'm the ruler of this place, so this might be, you know, a junky place, but you know, I'm the king, and to prove it, here's my and I already forget what the putty guys are called. Clanks? No. Cogs? No.
It's got a really weird name that I can't think of.
Vrox? Maybe somebody in chat remembers. There's been so many, they start to... I want to call them Cogs, because that's what they remind me of, but they're not.
Yeah, from Zeo.
Yeah. Let's see. Samarax says, missed opportunity, though, that they are all evil twins. They don't have the goatees, so you can easily tell apart for the good ones. True. I guess in this one, there's no goatees. It's just the ones that are in comas are good, and the ones that are awake are evil.
Yeah, eyeliner equals evil in this.
There you go.
One thing about their dimension that was kind of funny, I don't know how many in chat will remember this, but I got deja vu of Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad, which the Japanese counterpart is Gridman, for those who've watched it. And just whenever they would fight, it would be in the internet or like a cyber dimension or something. And this reminded me of that, just with a red tint, which I thought was really cool.
I could see that a little bit. Summerox has said Teletronics. I think you're right. I think it was just Tronics, though. I think they call them just Tronics.
With an X because it's edgy.
Right, yeah. Well, and Morphex. And so then here comes Evox, also with an X, I believe. And this is a scene we saw in the original preview. And what I like about this is, we get Scrozzle over here being like, "I'm the ruler of this place," and then he's like, "Oh yeah!" And he immediately destroys his minions, showing that he's more powerful. And then Scrozzle's like, what does he say? He's like, "Oh, mercy!" And I got total. I mean, we've seen this before in Power Rangers, but the way he said it made me think of Starscream from Transformers.
A little bit.
The classic, I'll follow your lead as long as I don't have a chance to stab you in the back immediately. And so he'll act all tough, but if you could, so I hope they're setting up a thing, because they have him sort of show up like he's like, "I'm the master," and it just happenstance that Evox shows up and is more powerful. But he never signed up for him. He wasn't his general. He's his de facto general, his de facto second in command. But there's every reason in the world for him to want to defeat Evox, and I want to see that happen, or at least try.
Yeah. The thing I didn't understand is he's like, "I'm going to easily destroy all your minions, one-shot all of them, but I'm not powerful enough to teleport. But I still kind of have power here, but I don't go get me some."
Well,
that was the only part that I thought was a little conflicting.
I was a little unclear because the avatars were sent away by the heroes at the end of the last episode, and they ended up here, which is the furthest place they could send them. Totally fine with that. Evox seemed to be in the computer system at the Power Rangers base. So shouldn't he still be there, or was he never there and he was stuck in this dimension broadcasting himself? I'm unclear where he was originally. Did he end up in this dimension because of what they did, or was, you know what I mean?
I think the internet and or the grid is a gateway for him to go as far as that.
We lost your video, Bigdawg. I think we lost Bigdawg altogether. Well, his theory obviously is disproven. Or Evox got him. Oh, no, because this is all through the internet. I feel kind of good, though, because I was having so many technical difficulties. It's nice that he had one for a change. So, what we were getting at is it is a little unclear. Evox maybe can travel through the internet and project a part of himself, and maybe that's how he got to Earth. But now in this other area, why is that? Why is he powerful enough to shoot things? I feel like he's full power in this alternate dimension, but he wants to get back to Earth to get the Morphex and become even more powerful, is what I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Oh, Bigdawg, you're back.
I can't. Can you see me?
No, but I can hear you now. For a while, you were gone completely.
Let me see. It said the connection had lost. Sorry, guys. Let me just see if it's going to let me do video. Worst case, I will be a shadowy helper from, whatever.
Ox says, "Evox True Revenge. Woof woof," or it should be like woof woof.
Dude, seriously, the more smack I talk about any villains or Rangers this season, the more they're gonna be like, "Oh yeah, here, let me just
yeah,
boop, let me mess with this." I think I'm good to go.
Oh, there you are. Hey, power on, buddy.
Yeah, you can't keep me down too long. I got some more effects here, so just remember that. What I was saying though is, I think the farthest he can go is within the internet or the grid, to the human dimension, I guess. And then that's kind of the extent.
Well,
that's kind of the loophole he found.
That I was sort of saying when you dropped out. Where does he exist? Where is his full true power form? Is it in the internet? Is it in this dimension? Is it in a separate place that isn't Earth or this dimension? That's what's unclear to me.
RPM universe, just kidding.
Okay.
But I
hope. It's unclear, but my best guess is that wherever he originally came from, wherever he now exists in this dimension at full power, but he wants to get to Earth to get more powerful. That's kind of what I'm getting out of it.
Maybe because he's in between multiple places, that's why he's not at full power in any of them.
I guess we'll have to wait and see and hope they clarify that a little bit. But there is a motivation there. He wants the Morphex. So that's just more of him talking. So then Scrozzle's like, "Well, I've got this teleporter that I could bring you." But then immediately he's like, but it's got no power. And then speaking of Morphex, I don't know how they got Morphex. I guess maybe some teleported with them, or they grabbed the canister before they got teleported. But luckily for them, they have some Morphex. And what I love, though, is he's like, "Where did you get this? What is it?" She's like, "Oh, we have lots of it back there." And so, like you said, this sets up the whole motivation of that's where we got to go.
Speaking of which,
yes.
I found it funny that throughout the episode, and this is mild time jumpy for this conversation, is that he's like, I need more Morphex. Okay, here's a little bit. Oh, that's not enough for Evox. But you know what it could use is this thing that's probably going to get destroyed. Let's just use some of the little bit we have for this. Oh, that didn't work out.
See,
Shucks.
here's what you're not real. I mean, we are time jumping, but what you're not realizing is that that just proves how powerful Evox is. That this huge thing that they send is just a fraction of the power of Evox.
Oh, I know that, but I mean, if their ultimate goal is he is the end all, he could beat them, why would they not just hoard it instead of doing these little things? They should just do more missions of trying to get as much as they can and bounce, as opposed to let's just try to. I know I'm.
No, you're right. Well, here, but again, I chalk this up to the impatience of evil. They're taking the quick and easy path, like Darth Vader did. They're like, well, we could do a whole bunch of safe missions and steal a little bit, or we send in and just grab the whole tank and be done. And so, that's what I attribute that to. Bad strategy because of evil impatience.
Seems reasonable.
And so then we got a shot of Evil Blaze here. I mean, they just call him Avatar. I don't know if he has a name. I guess Evil Blaze. I don't know why I took that shot. I know why. Because I was like, oh, here's the shot of Evil Blaze being evil. And I'm like, nope, that's the real shot of Evil Blaze. That's when he's like, yes, Evox. So they're like, yeah, we're going to work for you. We're going to do this thing. And then meanwhile, back to the light side of the world. And I love...
Speaking of impatience...
Yes.
I was going to say, speaking of impatience, and then segue into the good people.
Well, before I see where you're going with that, but before that, I love that they're coming out of the video game. At the end of the last episode, it's like, hey, let's try the video game simulator. And he's like, yeah. And then like this one, he's like, that was cool. Now, it was clever to make us not see what the greatest video game in the world ever is, because it would never live up to expectations. Although I would love it if that was the finale. Like they beat the monsters and they beat Evox, and they're like, now let's play the video game. We get to see it.
Yeah.
But my point is that I love that they picked it up almost exactly where it left off. But you wanted to comment. Oh, and he's giving a high five. You wanted to comment on what's going on here, though.
So going into this episode's theme specifically of who's going to lead the team, I love how it just naturally set itself up. It made me like so many of the characters involved that much more when they're like, hey, here's the stuff that's going to happen. And then it just naturally played out exactly how I wanted it to.
Okay, agreed. I will say that I'm already forgetting. What's Blue's name?
I remember his actor's name better than his character's name.
Oh, is it Ravi? I think it's Ravi.
Okay.
Let's say it's Ravi. So
fair to me.
Ravi, I get that he's like, I was the trainee, and I mean, he's being a bit of a jerk, a bit presumptuous, but it makes some sense that he's acting this way.
Very Theo.
Yeah, well, yeah, unfortunately, I'm starting to agree with you. But then Zoe, I felt it was like a little out of character for her because she wants to be a ranger and stuff, but she knows she failed out. And like, I feel like for him, it was very natural and in character. And for her, I think it was just because they wanted Red to be the leader. So she had to also kind of be a jerk.
I disagree with her end because I see it as the last episode. She's like, you know what? I'm going to go in the face of danger and get this done.
Right.
And then they fought, she won, and now she has this newfound confidence of nothing can stop me. I'm invulnerable. Like, I can get everything done now that I'm a ranger, and nobody believed I could, and now I did it.
I'll buy it. I think maybe it bothered me just because, like, she's my favorite character so far, and I don't like her being a jerk.
Okay. I don't think she was a jerk. I think she was naive in how she was handling the situations and how she perceived the situation.
All right, fair enough. And then we see him, and he's like, "Hey, whatever." I forget what he said, but he's being a nice guy.
Yeah.
He's like, "Hey, man, be cool." Or oh no, he goes, "You have some competition," but he's treating it like, it's all fun and games. Real quick, Ox says, "Has there ever been seasons where Red isn't leader?"
Yes.
Very few, but yes. Obviously, the second or third season of Mighty Morphin, the White Ranger became the leader.
Yeah,
that's the most famous. But then also
second. I think it was just third because they did that stint where they tried to make Rocky the leader, and everybody pretty much realized that was never going to happen.
Well, regardless of Rocky, it was Tommy was already like a veteran, so it just made sense that he would be the leader.
The first one that always comes to my mind is Time Force,
right?
Where Pink was the leader. At first in Wild Force, Yellow was the leader.
Yeah, that's the worst one because Yellow should have stayed the leader. I mean, maybe halfway through the season, Red could have taken over, but that was the worst case of like, well, because he has a red suit, he's like, because Yellow was the military woman and she had been running it, and maybe he could have been a good second in command to soften her heart a little bit or something. But
he was definitely the spirit of the team. He was not the strategist of the team.
Correct. But Ox, the short answer is almost always Red is the leader. Almost always. Okay, so meanwhile they come down the hall and he sees his mom again, and she's like, "I have a big announcement." Boom, robots. I think they call them Beast bots in this one.
Oh, so what I will say, first impressions of these bots, I was waiting to hear what they sounded like.
Yeah.
And if you didn't have your current job that you have now, I would say you would have to be Jax's voice actor.
Me?
The way that, like, you do impressions of, like, robots or just random, like, characters, like, what are you doing there, eh? Like, everything you've done that I've heard you do impressions both online and off, Jax, the way that they portray him is just meant for you to play.
That's really funny. I mean, I'll take that as a compliment, but that's really funny you say that because Ox is a big fan of Crash. I like Cruz. I was prepared to like Cruz. I like the robot. I like the motorcycle. Just Cruz seemed the coolest before I heard anything or saw anything. And Jax was the one I was least interested in. But when he started speaking, I was like, this guy's awesome.
Yep. I thought the same thing. I'm like, this is already my least favorite just aesthetically. Right. And then I heard him like, oh, it's going to be like the Danny DeVito of the team in the best way.
Yeah. You know what else it made me think of? The Detective Pikachu. You know how they have the movie come out with Ryan Reynolds?
Yeah.
And nothing against Ryan Reynolds. I like Ryan Reynolds. But everyone's like, oh, he should be Danny DeVito because in the game. And I'm like, I see how that would work because this is like a yellow rabbit character that's like, hey, what are you doing? Hey, So I totally get that. And there he is. Yeah. And he's like, I'm not cute. I can't even remember what he sounds like now, but apparently I'm him. But yeah,
it's like kind of raspy and like old timey.
Hey, I'm a rabbit. What are you doing? Don't call me cute.
Yeah.
I want to buy a newspaper. What do you mean the newspaper stands closed? I'm a rabbit.
It's uncanny, guys. But I need you guys to back me up in the comments here if that's what you believe.
Ox says Gaz is totally Jax, so see,
that's 2 votes.
I mean, that also works because Yellow is my favorite Ranger so far, so she's the one I'd want to be a partner with. So okay, fair enough. I love his little glowing eyes too. That made it like look more alive. And then she's delighted with him, and then we move on to who's this guy? I don't think he's that Crash. Ox is very excited about Crash.
Yep.
They're all cool. He's my least favorite. Kind of like talking about the mayor last week, where all the actors are good. He's just my least favorite. Crash.
I love how much you and I already disagree on who we like the most and who we like the least.
Because you like Crash the best?
Yeah, so far.
Well, Ox is with you, and he's giving some robot Pikachus over here. Although I think that might be referred to Jax.
Nope, just me.
I don't dislike Jax. I mean, Crash. I thought Crash was going to be my second favorite until Jax spoke, and then he became my third favorite. Is what happened.
Mine's reversed, and we both like Blue the least, I think.
Yeah, Blue is my least favorite of the 3. Again, not that he's bad, but of these 3, he's my least favorite. But what I think is funny also, to kind of reinforce how he's not making a great first impression, is Jax comes out, and she's like, yeah, you're awesome. And he's like, quit it. And she's like, I still like you. And then Crash comes out, he's like, give me a hug. And he's like, no, get away from me, creepy robot thing. Which, to be fair, I don't think I'd want to be hugged by a big robot gorilla either, but, it's just a completely different reaction.
I disagree. I'll take robot hugs.
Well, okay. Well, later on, maybe he'll get one. And then we see Cruz, and this is Kelson. Wait, did I say his name right? Kelson? Mick from Ninja Steel, in my mind.
Correct.
And he's my favorite design of the 3, for sure. Ox says, Crash loves hugs. I did think it was a little weird that he has memory problems, because he's like, hi, my name is... What is it? It's like, how does a robot... Okay, whatever. Suspension of disbelief. I don't know if that's a nod to Go Busters or...
I don't know. What I will say, though, is after seeing all of them on screen like this, it makes me want the SH figure arts that much more, which is very frustrating.
Because they were super cheap until a few months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, even then, they were like just inexpensive. I wouldn't even say cheap, and now it's like, oh god.
There was a time when I saw all the SH figure art Go Busters for less than $20, and most of the Beast bots for relatively cheap too. I did look at Cruz because I was tempted to get Cruz, and I think the cheapest I saw was like $20-$30, which isn't bad. A lot of the others are higher, but yeah. So I don't know. We'll see how the American releases. Maybe they'll have some cool ones. I do have the Go Buster Red that you got me for cheap, so I'm happy about that.
Mm-hmm.
But so he introduced himself. Oops, going backwards. And
He's the
then
best Ranger so far too, which is great.
who?
The Red Ranger.
What do you mean?
That he's the best Ranger so far, so it's good that you have a figure of the best Ranger on the
Oh,
team.
I see. You're trying to argue with me because I like yellow better. Whatever. I like him. I don't have any problem with him. See, that's the thing. When I voice my opinion, you like to make it like I hate the other things. Like, no, yellow is very good. She's like, I mean, we gotta wait till the season's over, but she's in contention to be one of my favorite Rangers ever. Red is
Okay.
also
Wow,
very good.
that's a statement.
She's in contention. I mean, like she's not there yet, but she has the potential. Red is also very good. He's maybe one of my favorite Red Rangers, although typically Reds aren't my favorites. And then Blue is just good. He's fine. He's he's totally fine. But anyway, so we get Cruz, and he immediately is like, I can't remember my name, but check this out. Hey, I'm a motorcycle. And I thought that was a pretty good transformation because we have I didn't do a good job. We have the suit actor, and you see the suit actor looks like they really do a flip or something, and then the CGI kicks in, and it's not 100% flawless, but for TV, for Power Rangers, it's pretty good.
Oh yeah, it looks awesome for Power Rangers.
Yeah. And then you can still see his head, and he's talking, and more good face acting. Whoa! So yeah, I dug that. And then here come the secondary heroes, who now are apparently technicians of some sort.
I liked their description of, I thought you were security. She's like, they're whatever I say they need to be this day.
And sometimes things that I don't say. She threw that in too, which implies maybe they're working on their own. I love that. I absolutely love that because I've said this about a lot of different franchises, whatever the thing is. I am fine with suspension of disbelief. I will dip my head in the sand as long as it's a good story and I'm having fun. But you throw a little throwaway line of why, great. If they didn't address that they were security guards, it would drive me insane. The fact that she says, I thought they were, and she's like, meh. That's not a real answer, but they addressed it, and I'm fine with it. That is fine, especially because these guys are they're even better this episode than last episode, in my opinion. I think, there have been several Bulk and Skull archetypes and comedy people, but I think they're totally embodying like late season Bulk and Skull, which is the best. Where they're kind of heroic and they want to help and they want to be involved. They're just a little bit derpy and bumbly, and it's charming
they're like Zeo Turbo Bulk and Skull.
Yes, and I don't mean that to say that they're acting the same as those actors. They're doing their own thing. Like I've talked about her faces and things like that, but that sort of they're heroic sidekicks as opposed to like antagonistic comedy. You know what I mean?
Now I have a question for you and the chat. So looking at toys and what's released thus far, we know that there might/most likely will be 2 more Rangers at least to join the team.
Right.
Do you think it's most likely to be them, Blaze and Blue Ranger's ex-girlfriend, or 2 completely new people that we haven't met yet?
I think it's most likely to be the avatars come back and they become the good Rangers, Blaze and whatever her name is that I forget. I had previously said I thought the Doctor might be Silver, but regardless of what's supposed to happen, I want it to be them. I want it to be them. It would be so unexpected and so awesome.
I agree.
And she's short and he's a little heavier, so it's like, but we've seen like Justin morph into an adult, and like so that doesn't matter. You get the power in you, you become a superhero. We've seen old men do it, and like in Dino Charge, that guy became a superhero. So I don't think they'll do it, but they absolutely should, especially because like in this episode, they show that they're heroic and have the heart for it. Samurai wants. Oh, Roxy, that's her name. Spoilers, Airzuki. The new Ranger's gonna be Gaz and.
Dibs on Silver.
Fine. Okay, sure. I mean, silver or gold, I'll take either. That's totally fine with me.
That's true. Well, you already have some of the gold stuff, so you'll just wear the cosplay, and then when you morph, it'll do some weird sequence.
Right. It'll be like it'll be like in Super Mega Force or Go Kaiger, where I like morph and then change again. Yeah. For those that don't know, I have a Samurai Gold Mega Mode armor set. Because that's how committed I am to being a dork.
I think it's the thumbnail, if I remember correctly.
It is, yeah. It's the 2 of us in the. I don't have the helmet on, but it's the 2 of us in the Megazord cockpit. And so anyway, she's like, "Hey, we've invented this thing. It's like a stun gun, but it has a different name." And she goes to use it. Another great face as she's getting like, because you gotta remember, she's not actually nothing's happening. You know what I mean? So like, I always think about that. Like those effects, everything. It's just her doing this, but then she's like, and she's really selling it. And so there's the comedy. And then what I like is. He comes in and it's like, you're doing it wrong, and does the like exact same thing, which to me, maybe this isn't what they intended. Maybe they just wanted like a double joke. But to me, it's she didn't do it wrong. It's broken. So she did it right, and it got her. And then he's like, no, 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 you do it like this. And he did it right, too, and it got him. So in my mind, it establishes that maybe they're not the best technicians, but they're not complete idiots.
Yeah, agreed.
Am I reading too much into that, or you agree?
I agree with that, where I chalked it up to he didn't change anything with it.
Right.
And he did it the same. I was waiting for him to flip it the other way and just shock himself, but I agree with you.
Yeah. Erzuki says if they do it, then it'll be even more like RPM a la Ziggy.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking.
It will be, but Ziggy was a little bit of a different archetype, so I'm still fine with it. Even if it is, I don't care. RPM is one of the best seasons ever, so not that I want them to copy RPM, but if we're thinking this feels like RPM, that's not a bad thing. You know what I mean? I can't think that's a bad thing. Yeah,
we've referenced RPM and Jungle Fury more than any other season, and they happen to be back-to-back.
And those are two of my favorite seasons of all time as well.
True.
So this is their reaction. And what I like here is they kind of, when they get electrocuted, the Rangers kind of like and kind of like laugh, but they're not like, you idiots, like you would see in the past maybe with.
They're like concerned. They're like,
right.
Are they
right? But then, but then it's like, okay, we kind of laughed a little bit. Are you okay? And so I appreciate them showing concern because they're supposed to be heroes, Let's see. Thank you for the host, Mr. KT Man. Thank you very much for showing up. You are awesome as well. Let's see what we got. Samurai Ox, Mr. KT Man saying hello, and then thank you for the host. So for Mr. KT Man or anybody that's new, I normally do an art stream. This is a Power Rangers talk show where we talk about news and reviews. We also primarily go over the current episode, which is episode 2 of Beast Morphers. And if you look in the upper left-hand corner here, there is some art that I did of a character that's in this episode that I'm not drawing currently. I drew it yesterday, but it's a video that by the end of this should be done. And if not, I'll just show you the final picture. So let's scroll on. Now we go back to the dark evil area. And see, this is what I was saying. Like, there's nothing back there. It's a couple bricks and then smoke and light. But while that's sparse and probably they did it to save money, it works because I just imagine there's nothing. It's just like a wasteland.
Yeah.
It's not like if they're like they have no choice but to team up with this guy because that's it. Like he really is the king there because there's just nothing.
It does make me think if it is bigger than we think it is and it is nothing, how coincidental it is that you happen to be in the one spot somebody else is.
Well, you're right, but I took it as that's the only place to go.
Okay.
Why they can't exist out there. I mean, maybe they'd be destroyed or I'm kind of being an apologist for this, but my thought is it's like the eye of the storm. You're there or you might as well not exist kind of, but
that's fair.
You do have a good point though. All right, so then they're talking about Morph X, and he's like, I put some Morph X into your keys, which at first I thought was weird because they could already morph, but then he explains how it's to let them teleport back and forth. So presumably they sort of have unlimited ability to teleport back and forth, the two avatars.
Yeah, I think they use a little bit each time they use their key, but other than that, there's two modes for them. They can't really go outside of their costume. Well, actually, no, I guess they are morphing because if you look at the screenshot, they have dark evil versions of their training gear, and then when they morph, they're in their full costume. So I guess it is kind of a little bit of both.
Let's see.
What is up, Mr. KT Man? Thank you for the shout.
All right, so she stays behind, which is unclear why. This shot seemed ominous to me. Nothing came of it, and maybe nothing will. But they're like, "Oh, we're gonna go," and she's like, And I'm like, "Wait, is she planning on betraying someone? Does she have some idea? Maybe not." But the way they shot it, the way they focused it, it definitely made me think. If something happened, we're next episode, they're like, "Oh, she did this thing," it wouldn't surprise me. I guess is what I'm saying.
So I think if we really wanted to appease literally everyone, she gets Blaze's key and puts them both together and does some weird mega mode, and then it sells a toy of it.
I think they should, even if she has a mega mode, she should still get a regular mode.
Well, she does. I confirmed.
Thanks for the turkey lurkey, Dolly Girl.
Thank you, Dolly Girl. She for sure has a toy. I confirmed.
Oh, excellent. Good for everybody to know.
So Samurai Ox, go order it when it's available.
Yes. Okay, so then there we go. Thank you for the fart, Erzuki. All right, so they're teleporting to Earth, and then we cut back, and we got Jax. Hey, everybody. Well, he's actually not talking, but in his head, he's like, "I'm better than these people." And then they're walking down the hall, and then Ravi, is that his name? Did we decide? I don't remember. Is like, "Oh, so was that the big news you had for us?" Because she didn't pick a leader, and she's like, "No, there's more, but the more isn't the leader." It's like, whoa, face acting because. It's the Zords, which we didn't see in episode 1, which again, I love when they slowly roll it out like this because it gives you time to absorb it and appreciate the gravitas. Also, they did a really good job of making them look huge. You very rarely see like that kind of, and I've said this in the trailer, I said it in episode 1 and this one, for whatever reason, this season seems to be conveying the scale of everything much better. I don't know if it's just the camera angles or inserting the actors or whatever, but like they're just cars, and like with Turbo and stuff, you kind of get the impression they're like regular sized cars and stuff. But like no, these are gigantic, crazy big cars. Like and you see that, you know. Let's see it real quick. Coach Derp, welcome. I haven't watched the Nickelodeon era at all. The letdown that was Super Mega Force. A lot of people are unhappy with the Nickelodeon era. I mean, it's changed now because Hasbro has owned it, so this is the beginning of a new era. After Super Mega Force was Dino Charge, which most people say is the best of this era, and I also liked it. Actually had a Red Ranger, which is one of my favorites, even though I just got done saying I didn't love Red Rangers, but he is one of my favorites. And then Ninja Steel, it isn't particularly well thought of, but this... It's not just us. Most people are saying this is like the best season in years. So maybe check it out. It's more farts. Hello, improved AI. Thank you for the fart. Ox is Ravi. Crash has a semi. Oh yeah. So basically, Ravi isn't even the character. Crash is the character as far as Ox is concerned.
True.
So they come in. They see their Zords. They're super psyched. More good face acting, and it shows their characters too, because he's like, wow, this is a video game, and she's like, oh, this is just so cool and awesome, and he's like, yes, I deserve this, this is all for me.
Yeah, I like, even when you're saying, like, paraphrasing what each one said, you make Blue the worst.
Well, I'm going with it. I feel bad because I don't have any problem with the actor or anything. Like again, same, I don't really have any problems. 100%. But it's just fun, you know.
Yeah.
So I know he'll never watch this, but if you do, I don't mean any harm. You're a great actor.
I literally had this exact conversation. I'm like, I think the worst thing that could ever happen is multiple Ranger actors watch this and they're like, hey, I remember that one time you badmouthed my character in my season. What's the deal? And it's like, you know.
It's all a sliding scale, and it's preference, and we're not bashing the person or the actor. We're talking about the character, to be very clear. And again, I'm saying in a season where everything is going awesome, this one is my less favorite. So it's like, you know, I don't know. I think we have to have, we don't want to be mean, but we have to have some value judgments. Otherwise, there's nothing to talk about. If we just say everything's an A+ across the board.
I will say, in regards to Coach Earp's comment, it is really funny how the scale did slide and how relative it is, where if we looked at previous seasons and did a show like this, it'd be like, what'd you like about Ninja Steel? It's like, Redbot's cool today and Mick was funny. And then it's like, what'd you dislike? And then it's just a full hour of that at times. And now it's like, what'd you dislike? And we have maybe 2 things if we're fishing for it. The fact that we have so much good to say is just a testament of how much Hasbro has hit the ground running with this season and this episode specifically.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed. So then she's like, okay, you know what? With all these robots and stuff, I guess it's time to pick a leader. So they were right to expect that. And he's all like, yo, 1,000 years of Ravi, yo. And then she comes up and she's like, no, because I sorted laundry and redid that office, which, again, it's like ridiculous that they're fighting about it, and maybe that isn't a comparable skill set. But what I really like is that he's like, that's stupid. And his boss/mom is like, you've never done that. You don't know how hard that is. You don't know if it's impressive. And it's a little bit of a dig on him for being lazy, but I think it's also more of like a, hey, don't demean her skills just because they're not your skills. You know, it could be really hard to organize laundry. You don't know, you know, like.
It was all relative, and I really appreciated that comment as well when I was watching, where just because he did things that are harder in some aspects, it's like, why don't you do your own laundry?
Right.
I don't know. Cool, do it, and then we could talk. Right. And it's like, all right, holds him accountable.
I think this episode specifically does a lot. The writing, I mean, again, we're saying everything's good. The writing, I don't know, because I feel like it's mostly the same writers, right? Like, I know Chiplin's very involved. I know Chip had talked about when they were doing Dino Charge how he really wanted to do Go Busters and wasn't allowed to. So maybe he's just like, this is what I always want to do. And I don't know how much influence different people have on it. But I feel like the writing has been really good. And one of the things they're doing that they haven't done in a lot of previous seasons is the classic show, don't tell. They're not telling us, oh, she's good at this, or this person's responsible, or everybody's actions and dialogue is communicating who they are, what they think, including giving us like life messages because it's for kids. So you want to have positive messages. They're not. She doesn't say, "Oh, everybody's special and we all have our own, unique abilities." She's just like, "Yeah, you've never done it," and that communicates the whole thing. But in a way that's palatable to an adult viewer, where you're like, "Yeah, I get it," and a kid won't be like, "Boy, this is a less," a lot of like really direct communication of ideas through action, which I think is fantastic.
I think one of the greatest things that could come out of like this specific scene in an episode, in terms of what you're saying of show don't tell, is a kid, doesn't matter who, goes up to their parent after watching this and goes, "Hey, I really like the Yellow Ranger. She does laundry. Can I help you with the laundry, Mom or Dad?" Like, that must like blow the minds of like Chip Lynn of like, "Oh, my master plan."
I mean, I think you might be overreaching a little bit. Maybe like that'd be amazing. I think it's more just like don't judge other people's skills and that kind of thing. But if that happened, that would be amazing. Semriok says, "You totally want a gorilla as the leader over a cheetah or a bunny." I mean, look, a beast transformer. Yeah, because Optimus Primal. All right, so we're running a little long, so let's move along. So then they say, "Oh, what about you, Red?" And he's like, "That's a cool cheetah blaster," which is a diversion so that we don't focus on the possibility of him being leader. But also, I haven't looked this up, but I'm 99% sure this is an American-only thing.
I think it is as well.
Because the way they're showcasing it.
And the visor that he has, I think, is specific to him. And I mean, more power to him. They always do super modes, and this one I think is not too outlandish, where it kind of works.
I like the visor. Good.
What I will say about the Zords is I really like how whenever they initiate, how the head of the Battle Beast goes up front. They're like, "I'm locked in," because it probably in the Sentai is just super goofy. It's just like, "Oh, hey guys, I'm part of the Zord." But like this, they actually make it kind of cool and like make sense.
I haven't seen the Sentai, so I don't know. But you're right. The way they do it, and how they become part of the console too, because they say they're like your partner. And if they just became part of the thing, like just like superficially, be like, "All right, I guess." But then he's like, well, again, we're jumping ahead. But later when they're having trouble, he's like, "Wake up! What are you doing, buddy?" He's like trying to help him. He's like still there, kind of like Knight Rider, where the car's alive and So then these guys come in and then they're like, "Hey, we want to help," because once again they might not be super competent, but they have the heart of the cards in them. And then these two are still fighting about who's going to be leader. I'm kind of skipping ahead a little bit.
Yeah.
And they want to go, and he's like, "We do?" And then we cut out here, and this is another nitpick, but I don't know. There's something very unglamorous about siphoning out of a truck. It's fine. Like there's nothing really wrong with it, but I thought they'd be like up on a power grid, like just sucking it out, or like knocking it over agents and like pulling out barrels, and they're just sort of like no one's looking.
I like too how just lame the crank is. He's like, "Keep getting the more facts, eh?"
And I mean, they're spending so much money because like the first two episodes are like almost 100% American footage, and so I get they don't want to go crazy, and it's a nitpick, but I just thought it was funny because it made me feel like it was a scene out of Dukes of Hazzard or something the way they were doing it.
I would have much preferred some kind of valve that they used that they kind of just left, as opposed to him using this rinky-dink hand crank.
I agree. But so he gets some more effects, and Scrozzle's like, "Let's try it out." And then we cut to this shot, which is the Beast Morphers using some Go Busters technology. I mean, it's Beast Morpher technology now, but I like that they're incorporating. He's not just, like, did they have to do that? I don't know. But we know there's going to be a toy of it. We know it came from Go Busters. So they're making a point of showing, oh, this gadget, it is actually functional binoculars that he's using in the field. So, I just like those touches.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, I'm skipping ahead. So I don't have a shot of this, but the two of them are like, "We're gonna charge in," which is not necessarily the sign of a good leader to just like fight over who gets to charge in. But again, show don't tell. They're charging in, and his first thought is, "You guys stay here. Stay safe." That's a good, taking care of the civilians.
Assessing the situation, not just let's go hit somebody.
Right, assessing and being concerned for civilians. So and her face again, she's like, "Are you sure?" And he's like, "Yes." Her faces are. I mean, I talk about face acting so much, but I don't know.
We're not used to it. We're used to them just like, "Oh, okay, yeah, for sure."
I guess that's what it is. Yeah, and I would much rather, especially in a show like this, overact. I don't believe you can overact in a show like this, to be honest. Like others might disagree, but like overacting beats underacting 99.9% of the time. And even when people think it's overacting, I'm usually okay with it.
Yeah.
So then he's like, "Hey, do you know those guys?" And he's like, "I do. I'm going to kill them." I love this suit. We've seen it before, but we got some like really clear shots of it.
So cool. It's everything I love. It's taking everything here and just making it so cool for the season. Oh.
How do you really feel, Bigdawg?
If there's one thing, Gaz knows this more than anybody, but I love like evil counterparts.
Yeah.
When it comes to comics, I love the Joker, I love Venom, I love all the just opposites. And the fact that they have the evil Rangers that look that freaking cool is just, I can't get over it.
I don't have the same specific like that you do, but they're awesome, the both of them. And so then they're like, whoa, we got to fight. And you think they're going to morph, but, and then they bring in the Tronics. I think it is Tronics. Mm-hmm. And then civilian fight, which again, I love civilian fight. I mean, I like the morph fights too, but it really ties them together and shows they could be heroes without the power, which is important, I think.
And shout out to Arizuki. She brought it up in the last couple of episodes of it really will show how much they're willing to use American footage if we see a lot of civilian fights. And not just like they're there, but like the way that they highlight how each Ranger fights in a specific way and kind of their motivations during the fights of, am I going to use the terrain around me? Am I a skilled fighter specifically?
And
Am I using acrobatics? Yeah.
That's exactly what we see because there was the credits there, which I'm not going to go over again. But everything you just said, I didn't want to cut you off, but as you're talking about it, it's like she's using kicks because she has the bunny power. She's using terrain, which again they talked about before. I had talked about last episode, which I really like because like why not? You know, like it's there. It's just good choreo. I mean, it's entertaining to watch, but like whoever the fight choreographer is like doing extra work and it's paying off. You know, it's not just punch kick, punch kick, punch kick. Because no matter how good a martial artist you are, that's going to get boring after a while.
Yeah.
So, and like you said, the specialty is the kick. Has strength, so we see him and he's throwing boxes like the gorilla would. And this kick isn't a gorilla kick, but again, it's just showing that he's a good fighter.
Yeah.
And then. Also, we see here he's taken on the evil Red Ranger without his powers. You know, might not be a good idea, but it shows that he's not scared and he's tough. This was a little ridiculous because he's like, "You want another karate lesson? There goes my sword for no reason. Let's go." It's like, I guess it's the overconfidence of evil, but like, it was just that was a little silly where he's like, like it was. He didn't even like put it down. He's like,
The thing about it too is when he said that, I thought, okay. Blaze is just like this, whether he's an avatar or not. He's just a jerk.
Yeah.
That's how I read it.
Yeah.
It's like you were a jerk before you had an avatar, and then you have an avatar, and you're doing literally the exact same thing. So I'm waiting for him to come out of the coma and be like, by the way, I'm still a jerk. I shouldn't be a ranger.
Or I'm fine working for Evox as long as I get that cool suit.
Yeah, can you give me that suit back? Because I don't, need to teleport as often. I'm really just ready to fight this Red Ranger.
And he's ready to fight too, and he makes a quip about, I can still teach you some stuff. And then they have their fight. And again, environmental. He did this like dodge split jump thing. Like, what is that? It's awesome. It's awesome. And then some more kicks from her. Oh, I love this. She had picked up the broom and like she knocks everyone down and she put it down. She didn't say it, but in my head it was like, that's a clean sweep. You know, like it just
That's the thing I think that differs this season is they don't go for the on the nose punch.
And I think that's fine. I love the pose and things I like jokes, but it does seem like the last couple seasons it was like every single line was a joke.
Every single one, like, that's the last time he'll be cleaning up the streets.
Right.
Super mega win.
And a little bit of that is fun, but it was a bit too much. But I did, again, like her fighting with the broom. She saves him and then pulls out the blaster, which, where was it? They didn't show the teleport, but we know they can. But I also love, again, it's tying them together. We see something about seeing the civilians using powers and using weapons. It just meshes them with the footage where, in real life, we know most of the time it's not them in the suit. But it, like, really brings it together when they do stuff like that, I think.
I will say, in regards to the blaster, I really would have appreciated a little bit extra CG where they show it disappearing. Because her just going like, ta-da, it's gone! I'm like, okay.
You're not wrong, but again, that's a nitpick.
I know. It just specifically to me, I'm like, that thing is enormous. I'm not just going to stick this in my back pocket. Like,
maybe she put it back here and is like, teleport away, and then just kind of like let it go.
Blaster be gone!
Blaster be gone! So they start immediately arguing about who's the better leader. And again, talking about choreography, we see Red fighting in the foreground while they're arguing in the background, which I just thought was great. Like, again, we know it's happening, but like we see it, like literally. I don't know. I thought that was really, really a nice touch. And then, of course, he's like, stop fighting. Anybody who's watching the show that hasn't yet realized I should be the leader, this is the moment where they really should realize I should be the leader.
Yeah.
And then we cut back to these
guys. The one
guys.
thing I will say about the leader part, just a quick note, is part of the reason I liked it is he didn't ask to be. He just stepped up, did his own thing, and was like, here's why I should be the leader. I don't even really have to say it.
But you don't even know if he wanted it, and the best leaders don't really want it. They're just like, well,
that's what I'm saying. He's like, he fell into the role similar to how he fell into being Ranger. He's like, I did come here to just steal and play your video game, but I do have a heart of gold, and here's what I'm doing. And like, I did appreciate that when he was working through, and then the commander was like, yeah, he should be the Red Ranger, of course. Duh.
Agreed. No, I absolutely agree. And in other seasons they might have been like, I've been watching you, and you seem to be the kind of person that's fair, and we've always heard you had a good, whereas this, they don't have that speech. You see it through the episode, and they're like, well, obviously, you should.
It was like when Zordon did and you get the power of the Mastodon because you're very strong and noble. It's like, no, you're just good. Like, there you go.
Yeah.
Thanks for earning your stripes.
All right, so we cut back to these guys, and he's like, okay, we could mix the Morph-X with some Evox. I like this prop, by the way. I don't know why, but something about it's very appealing to me. We mix the Morph-X with the Evox virus, stick it in anything. Why he chose a tiger, because that was the monster suit they had from Japan, but why, who knows. But here we go, and now we get the Tire Monster, which, I forget his name. It was like Road Trap.
It was weird.
You didn't like tell me what you didn't like.
So I love the trope of random object becomes a monster.
Right.
What I didn't like with this monster was I didn't feel it properly represented a stack of tires.
I agree. It looks more like it was a motorcycle or a go-kart or something. If it was a stack of tires, it should have looked like the Michelin Man, just like a big rubbery whatever.
Just something weird, or like for some reason, right before it transformed, I thought of like turbo monsters for some reason.
Right. Like a lot of tires.
Really weird. And this one, I'm like, that looks too clean and like on purpose looking good.
Yeah, I don't mind the design of the monster. He's a little generic, but I agree that I wouldn't have pictured that coming out of the tires. Honestly, if there was like some kind of scooter, go-kart, moped, something like that, I think that would have been fine. But that's what we got, and that's fine. They can't all be winners. So then now, once again, they're taking care of the Tronics. Uh-oh, who's this monster? Well, now it's time. They got to morph up. And they both, again, run up and, like, argue morphin' time to each other, basically.
Yeah. The other thing, too, is now that I'm looking at it, his pedals on his head are weird. I wish they just had a random bike that they're just like...
Well, that's what I'm saying. When I say moped or something, like, sometimes they have pedals or foot pegs or something, but...
I guess. Nitpicks aside... Cool morphing sequence. Definitely.
This is what I was gonna say. Like, this is the one we've kind of seen in the trailers and stuff, but we didn't get to see last episode because they just transformed. This was the first time they actually morphin' timed it. And what I like, they're still arguing, and he just runs up. He's like, "Fine, like let's do it." And I kind of took a bunch of screenshots here because it's cool. We see the little wristband they always wear turns into the big morpher because sometimes it's like, oh, they've had it on the whole time, but we never noticed it. Like, no, it appears like they need it. Then they pull out their keys, and we get a little zigzaggy thing, energy. Then there's the burst of energy. Like, there's a lot of work that went into this. And then the choreography, too, it's very Sentai. Like, it's not like hey, it's morphin' time. It's like...
Yeah, it was a...
Right. And the faces... This is good, but watch the next one. Look at the face. Look at the face acting. Look at the face acting. Ah! Ah! Like, because I froze it, it looks like they're about to eat
Saturday mornings.
Yeah, they're going to eat glowing candy. So, and then their hair turns purple. And then... so we get a close-up of that. And then we get another energy going up with the tornado. And I realized we'd seen this before, and I talked about how I friggin' love these like energy faces that even make the rabbit look cool and tough. But what I realized watching this is there wasn't that cutaway stock morph that we always see in the last couple seasons, where it would cut to like I'm flying through the sky and the helmet hits me, and like they always look cool, but you get kind of tired of them. Like I don't know if they're going to do this every episode, but I much prefer we run onto the scene and transform right there. Even if they use these same effects every time, that's fine. But like it took me, because I watch them always twice, because I watch them once to just enjoy them and then once to get the screenshots. And it wasn't until the second time that I'm like, oh, that's why I like this so much, because it's not just cut to stock footage. So I hope they keep doing that. I'll understand if they can't afford to, but I loved it.
Yeah. I do enjoy the stock footage, but I do agree it hits a point of diminishing return.
Yeah, I mean, even if they mix it in sometimes, maybe the first morph is this and the second one stock footage in an episode or something, I'd be fine with that. And what do you think of this when they transform? They don't have their visors on, and then it flies onto them after the fact.
I was just going to make a point of that. Of A, that's really cool for the American Morph. B, why are there not these sunglasses available to purchase right now?
I don't know. I mean, I would buy a pair, but I would counter with I would be annoyed if they didn't also make some Jungle Fury Solar Morphers.
They did make those.
No, they had a kid-size sort of Solar Morpher mask that had part of the helmet. There was no just sunglasses, kid or otherwise, because I would love a pair just to be my regular sunglasses. But if they make Go Buster sunglasses, yeah, I'd actually absolutely get those too.
I know. You would get yellow, I would get red, no one would get blue.
No,
it would work out.
Here's the thing. I would want yellow because she's my favorite so far. But I think blue would be the coolest looking sunglasses. Like I think I'd probably get blue, even though I don't know, it'd be tough. I'd probably get both. I'd get blue to wear and yellow to put on my shelf.
I would probably end up wearing blue because they would be wider and I have a really big head and face. But red would be the ones I would want to wear. They would just be too small.
Why do you think blue would be wider?
Because when you look, it's a little bit higher.
Okay.
Like it goes higher and lower than the visor on red.
Okay, good eye. I did not notice that. Real quick, you're on Twitch, right? I have chat bot open. I don't see any new chat. I just want to make sure. The last thing I saw was Ox.
I noticed. I don't see anything either.
Okay, that's fine.
But
and I'm not trying to shame chat. You guys could lurk. That's totally fine. But sometimes my thing lags and I don't realize I'm missing chat, so I just want to double check. Okay, so we're a little bit over, so let's kind of try to get through this quick. So they get into the fight, and here's the flag for losing because he's like, Rangers, you deal with it. And so it's like, oh, okay, well, there's the flag. They're leaving, so now we know the Rangers are going to win. They teleport away. Oh, I wanted to bring this up. This is the first time they showed that, and I got one of these, and I believe you do too. You probably don't have it handy. This is the Japanese version, but we got these at Power Morphicon last year.
Oh, yeah. I don't have mine handy, but I was so glad when I watched
You talked me into getting this, and I'm so glad you did, because we got them really cheap, too. I don't remember what, but I haven't even seen...
It was like $5 or $10 or something.
With batteries. The batteries still work. Like, oh, hey, wait. Can you hear that? And then you talk in, and it gives you, like, I'm on a microphone. And it's got a bunch of sounds and stuff, but I haven't seen an American version of this at all yet. So having the Japanese one that matches the American, awesome. I mean, I probably won't cosplay it or anything, but it's really cool to have. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, I'm so glad I have it. And you were right. I owe you one there, Bigdawg.
Yes. Take note of this. There's very few times that it will be admitted publicly that Gaz thinks I'm right. So we're going to chalk it up with one. Samurai Ox will probably have a tally whenever we bring it up.
There will be Cheddar, to the blue team.
Cheddar Goblin tally and Gaz admitting Bigdawg was right tally, and we'll just have both running at the same time.
Ox is welcoming me to the blue team, or both of us to the blue team, because we talked about the sunglasses. So they use this, and we've seen this in the trailers before, but it's the first time we've actually seen the teleport, which I think is really cool. And I don't think they'll always make it so dramatic. There'll probably be a lot of fast ones, but just, again, establishing it as a mode of transport is really awesome.
Like, boop, here's my sword.
Yeah, and so then they start the Tronics fight. And I feel like this is probably where Sentai footage starts kicking in. But by cutting back to these guys reacting, again, it's just like all you got to do is that, and I believe it. You know, I believe they're all there together, even though we don't actually see them together. And then I just have a couple shots of the fight in the thing. Oh, and so we see them using their powers again. So we got Rory, Red. I think he's Rory. Red Ranger is using his super speed, and then we got Blue using his gorilla strength, and we got Yellow using her jumping. And I hope that doesn't go away, because I feel like a lot of times they start off all having their specialties and it goes away. But so far they're showing them, and like, good, they have specialties. Show them. It makes it way more interesting. And then going back to this, I thought this was awesome. Oh, I'm getting a little bit of echo for some reason. Do you hear that?
I do hear it a little bit, yes.
Okay. Do you have me on speakers on your computer?
No.
Huh. Okay, well, let's not worry about it and move on. But I like that he does this, like, jump unnecessary. I'm going to grab it as it materializes midair. Completely unnecessary, but fun. I thought this shot was awesome. I might make this my desktop. This is just such an iconic kind of blaster shot. And then we see the first big, like, mega blast taking out several at once attack.
Yeah, I like how he has to crouch down a little. And the other thing, too, is I like how the weapons do kind of take inspiration for like spy gear of a camera and binoculars and things like that. And they don't really ignore it, but they don't bring it up too much, where they're just like, here are our weapons, don't talk about it.
Right.
And I'm fine with that, personally.
I am too, and they might, like the way they used the binoculars and didn't talk about it, maybe this will be a camera later on, or, you know, like, and if not, that's fine, but like the potential's there, so they're cheering. Okay, so now we get to the kind of the part of the episode I don't like so much. we see this dog run by, and he's digging
yeah.
something up, and you're thinking like, ooh, what's he gonna find, some Morph X or something? And he freezes, and he doesn't just freeze, he goes and freezes like that. So he doesn't freeze, he and I'm like, what? And I thought the two were unrelated, believe it or not. The dog and him were unrelated. I thought the dog was digging, and there was some corrupted Morph X, or like, you know, like something. Yeah. And so he's frozen, but so I don't like that. Well, actually, right in this moment, I don't mind it at all. It's because of stuff that happens later. Him having trouble with his power is fine. And then I do love this scene where, once again, the heroes step up, and they're like, hey, get away from him. And you get a little snark face. Here we go. And he zaps him, knowing he will zap himself. He now knows it is broken. So not only do they put themselves in danger, but he's like, I'm going to electrocute myself to save this guy. And, you know, again, that's in some ways it's more heroic than the Power Rangers. You know what I mean? Like, I know I'm gushing about him, but it's just like, yeah, it's everything that was great about Bulk and Skull, like, but right from the beginning. We don't have to wait like 3 seasons to get there, you know?
Yeah, exactly. They just out of the gates are like, this is what you wanted, this is what you like. Here, please.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Take all of it.
Airzuki says, to be fair, Overdrive did an okay job on that. I think she was commenting on the I don't remember what she's commenting on.
The pose that you like that you wanted as your wallpaper.
Oh, really? I don't think that's what she's talking about.
That's what I thought.
Hold on, I think she's gonna.
Sure.
She's typing individualized powers. That's true. I haven't watched all of Overdrive yet, though. So, but you're right. They did do individualized powers. So here comes this guy, and he's all still angry. He's like, "Remember me?" And then Blue is fighting him with his gorilla strength, and I thought that was cool. He like used it, and he popped him. I'm like, "That's awesome. That's using the gorilla strength. That makes sense." But then he gets all steamed up, and like he's getting ragey, which. I mean, they explain why, but what I don't understand is he shoots at him and like misses 5 times. So, like, was that because he was toying with him, or because he was so full of rage he couldn't aim, or?
I'm going to go with the latter. So, just kind of wrapping all of the things in a whole of, why did he freeze? Why is Gorilla being all aggro and make us like him less? I appreciate that they're trying with this subplot. I don't like the execution overall.
I agree. Up to this point, I was still okay with it, though. I want to be clear. Like, it didn't bother me yet. And so then she's like, hey, what did you miss for? And he's like, I'll not miss you. And he starts shooting. And she flips out of the way. Again, awesome use of her power. But then she's like, oh, I feel weak. Again, I'm still on board. One's freezing. One's feeling weak. The other's getting crazy. Something's wrong with the morphing grid. There's a problem. I'm fine with all of this. So meanwhile, he's using his super speed. He finishes up the fight with his camera blaster. Great. And then he sees what's going on over here. We get a nice big hug. He finally gets his hug, right? Because he has no choice. And, you know, and she's weak. And so he's the only one. He froze up, but he's seemingly okay. And he's like, we got to get back and figure out what's going on. Cut back to the evil world. And he's staring at the... Oh, this is what you were talking about before. So why don't you talk about this?
So what I didn't like is the was acting thing that later.
Bigdawg, you're fading out a little bit.
If I jump into it. Is it okay if I jump into the weakness subplot?
Wait, hold on. You faded out. Were you going to talk about the Morph X here?
Oh no! Okay. I wasn't sure if we were talking about the weaknesses or the
no, because that we'll get back to that. But this is what you were talking about before about how you didn't like the way they're using Morph X.
That's what I was clarifying.
Okay.
So so he's like, oh, this is a decent amount. Let me just use most of this for some big old monster for them to fight. It's like, I guess you could do that, or you could just use a little bit to try to get more and just spend a little, make a lot, spend a little, make a lot. Instead, he's like, let me spend a decent amount and make nothing. And that's the part I had the issue with. But I mean, it'll be what it's going to be this season.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. It definitely didn't bother me as much as it did to you, but that doesn't mean you have an invalid point. Samurai Ox says, like him less, Gorilla is the best, even raging.
Samurai Ox is the best Ranger troll in the chat, I will say.
I don't think he's trolling. I think he hearts the Gorilla bot so much, and anything associated with it by proxy. So we get back to...
We'll go with that.
So these guys are recovering, and they're like, oh man, sorry about that. I don't know what came over me. And he's all like, yeah, you guys are terrible, and you're fighting over being a leader, and here's more reasons why I should be a leader. And she's like, I'm taking note of this. Hey, I'm going to go check out and investigate. And she's like, good idea. Future leader. I don't know why I said per future leader. It's like a perfumed leader. Then back to this plot, which you love, where they're making the big robot. Now, again, I concede your point, but I think once again with scale, they did an awesome job. We see this again. I love whoever's making the props for the gadgets. I love them. So there you go.
Yeah.
And then you could barely see it, but down here is them. That's the silhouette. You see them moving around, and this big thing flies up. And it opens, and we don't see this very often, like a hangar with a fully grown thing. Usually they grow in the world, so something about seeing it already big, it's different. It's interesting, you know?
Yeah.
But you're like, it's still a dumb use of Morphex. So then they shoot it up
Dumb
in the
is
world.
a strong word. The only reason I have an issue with it is because of the Power Rangers tropes. I know this monster is getting destroyed, and if it doesn't, this is the shortest season of Power Rangers ever invented.
Right. Ox is not trolling. He digs the Blu Ray. We know you do. We're just trolling you, sir. So cool. Teleport effect. Again, I love this though. We see it teleport in, and it's like gigantic, and we see him looking up at it out of the hole. And I love these guys. I love these guys. I love it. I love it. All of them. All four of them. Usually you see like one good one in the front, and the rest are like, oh, you know. I don't know how many takes they did. I'd love to think they did like 50 takes, and they had this much energy each time. But like.
And every time, wow!
I love it. I love it.
Kind of similar to you in the thumbnail.
Yeah.
That one only took 3 takes, for those wondering.
And so here we get the speed morph where he's just running. But again, kind of like with the gun, he does like a fun little flip onto the motorcycle. And then back to command center where they're like, launch his car, Zord. And this thing's gigantic, as we know. But it's I see the little guy there, once again, showing scale. I would not want that job. Like, you're an inch away from being splattered. I mean, I'd want to work there, but maybe just a little further away or something. I don't know.
When that girl was doing the computer stuff, by the way, I kept looking for her weird computer.
Me too. But it was off screen this time. I think
I know.
She's still doing it, but they're like on the down low. So then the skyscraper falls down to let the car out. And this we saw in the trailer, and I thought this was like a carrier Zord. I didn't realize it was one individual Zord with how big it is for him coming in.
Yeah.
And then this is what we were talking about before, where Cruz kind of turns into part of the cockpit. And then, sorry, scroll ahead. And then the head comes out the front, and he's like, "I'm interlocked."
Yep, that part was awesome.
Right. It was a little weird. He's like, "Let's go to battle mode." He's like, "There's a battle mode." It's like, oh, yeah, but I mean, everything's new. Like that would seem like it should have been an episode 2 thing where they finds out there's a battle mode, but whatever, nitpick. It turns into the robot. This is the actual suit. I didn't have one of the CGI, but it's CGI for like 1 second. So is it perfect? No, but again, better than we've seen because it's just like CGI into the suit, and it's like the CGI for the transformation makes sense. They're using it sparingly, and I like it. So then we see the large. Now this surprised me. The individual Zord is the same size as him, so we know that the 3 Zords eventually will combine to be a Megazord that'll be even bigger. So does that mean they're going to dwarf the enemies, or is this sort of the equivalent of the Tronics? Where there's a bunch of big ones that are easily defeatable by a single Zord, but then they'll start getting more monsters of the week that'll be bigger?
I'm hoping more monsters of the week get bigger, or that he is the scale, he is the bar, and then when he combines with the others, he'll maybe get slightly bigger, but also compact in himself so they don't get so big where it's like, okay, who can possibly beat you?
Right. So it'll be more about thickness and armor and power as opposed to getting physically that much bigger.
Yeah, like the easiest way to describe it is kind of like for like a RPG character, like he's a rogue right now, and then eventually they turn into a slightly bigger tank.
Okay. So we got about 10 minutes before we got a hard stop, so I'm gonna move through. So they're fighting. Okay, and then I will say this: before I knew where they were going, they had this shot. I'm like, what the? Why this really super
I
clear
thought the
shot?
exact same thing. I'm like, this is a terrible billboard.
And
Why are we stopping?
I actually thought, like, was it product placement for like another show or like a
same,
like you know
same thing.
It was
Whoopies.
so yeah, and then I'm frozen again, and at that moment I said, oh no. When he sees the dog, he freezes because he's a cat. And there's so much I don't like about that. Glitches in the stream, I like that subplot. But cheetahs are not afraid of puppies. You know, he's not a little cat. He's a cheetah. And I have cats. They're not always scared of dogs. That's not something like hardwired in their DNA. That's sort of like a cartoon trope. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I didn't love it. I like the idea that he has a weakness, but I didn't love that. And And even if they had to make it that he's a cat so he's scared of dogs, I don't love that.
Yeah.
But make him be scared. Don't make him literally become petrified. Make him be like, oh, I'm uncertain of myself. Let's run away. Like that would
Yeah, or like he starts to make more mistakes, not literally like, come and get me.
Right. Ox says comparable bunny is tiny to car and semi. That's true. And then Ox also laughing at the billboard. Arizuki says cats own pwn dogs. Lulz woofies. Yeah. So there's a lot of like inaccuracy. And again, I'm fine with suspension of disbelief, but this one I just had a hard time suspending my disbelief. And then they even went like I just took one, but it was like woofies, 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 like in case you didn't get it. And that didn't bother me to get the point across. This is the last slide I have because I said I had technical difficulty, so the rest we'll just have to talk through. But yeah, eventually he's frozen, so the other two get their stuff together and they go out, and there's the semi, and they merge with the bots as well, and the rabbit, which is much shorter, smaller rather, and I do like that the rabbit used a bunch of kick attacks, which I thought was pretty cool too.
Oh, same. I was just like, oh, I loved it.
Yeah. So we're not gonna be able to go beat by beat as I normally like to, but basically, we go through, they win the fight as of course we expected, but they don't form the Megazord. Which I like.
Which
again,
I appreciated.
Save it for next episode. Save it for a week. I'm fine with that. I like the gradual ramping up of necessity, and it's like an arms race between them, as opposed to like, here's everything. Now let's get even bigger. Like we don't need that. So good pacing in the episodes, but good pacing for the series as well. And so then anything you want to? I'm going to move towards the wrap up at the end, unless there's something you want to talk about with the fight there, other than what we just said.
With the fight, I agree. I'm glad they didn't go too much into let's just build the Megazord and save the day. They actually are able to do things on their own, and each threat necessitates a different thing. To this, I saw it as them being one entity didn't work because he was kind of on par when he was fighting with just the Cheetah Zord. Because they were able to move with the Rabbit Zord and do all these other things, that's how they got the upper hand on this monster. So I really like those kind of what I'm going to...
he's gone. I heard it crackling, I saw it snap, and then it popped. So what he was starting to say is that Operation Overdrive is his favorite season, and the Black Ranger from Overdrive is his favorite Ranger of all time. He's getting a cosplay and a tattoo of that, so we'll look forward to that in the future. But I'm gonna sort of fast forward to the end of the episode. Ox says, and the blaster is the superpower of the sword. Yeah, that I don't love that. I mean, it's a convention we've seen before in like Ninja Steel. They had like sort of the chainsaw, the sword it's like a chainsaw sword with spinning ninja stars, and that would power up the mega attack. Never made sense. It's a cool weapon, and they've done it. They also did it in Dino Charge, where he had sort of a sword with a revolver in it that powered up the attack. I don't love it. I don't have a problem with the weapon. We got Bigdawg back. And I like the little visor, power up American only. That's all cool. But I wish the gun powered the gun, or the sword powered the sword, or he fired the gun into something in the cockpit that made the sword light up, or like just connect it a little bit better. I don't love it. Again, we're in nitpicks. But so past that, we get back to the base, and they figure out that, the reason you had this weakness was because the Evox virus corrupted the DNA you got, which actually kind of makes sense because we talked about, like, wasn't it in those tubes? And, like, I'm fine with it corrupting it.
Yeah.
But when they talk about the gorilla, it's like, okay, the gorilla kind of gives you some rage problems. That's the best one to me. It makes sense. It's an animal. It's got animalistic instinct. Not that gorillas are necessarily horrible rage monsters, but just they have impulses and they're fighting and they lose control. Bigdawg, do we lose you again? Yeah, we lost him again. So that one kind of makes sense to me. Let's see. Samurai Ox. I don't enjoy that either, talking about the gun, but makes me think that the Red Zord will be the base and Blue will armor him. Not sure, but I think you're right. The Red Zord probably will be the base. Bunny might like snap on the back or the head or something. We'll see where that goes. But yeah, the gorilla flaw made the most sense with the animal kind of taking over. The heat part was a little weird, getting overheated, because is that something that when gorillas get overheated, they get crazy? I don't know. The cat being scared of dogs, I already talked about. I don't love it. I think they could have had it be cat being scared of a bigger predator, so maybe if it was like a wolf or something. But then again, the freezing is just a bit too much, because like when Ravi was sort of went out of control over time, and it made sense. So if he got more and more scared and had a harder time acting or whatever. But also with the bunny is the worst one. She lost power because she was hungry, but it had to be carrots. And this goes back to the cartoon idea of rabbits don't need to eat carrots to be healthy and happy all the time. They might like carrots, but they also like, straw and celery and lots of pellets and all kinds of different stuff. So the fact that she lost power because she was hungry, I guess, and that carrots had to be the thing, it was the worst thing. kind of worse than being scared of the dog, to be honest. Because when he was scared of the dog, they kind of put a shred. Oh, he's back. Can't hear you. I can see you, but I can't hear you, Bigdawg. So there was
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. We're talking about the carrots.
Okay.
When the gorilla made the most sense, I have no issues with it. The cheetah thing, I have issues with it, but there's a shred of trying to tie it to logic. Add into that trying to tie it to logic that it was a little bit funny when the sign was like bam, bam, bam. So again, like, I guess they're playing it for laughs. I could tolerate it. But the fact that she was hungry and needed carrots, and then the carrots immediately, woo, I feel good. Here's what I don't want to see. I don't want for the rest of the season, every other episode, she's got to reach into a bag of carrots to take a bite. Otherwise, she's not going to have energy. I don't want that to happen. And
sorry, go.
No, go ahead.
What I was going to say is I took it as kind of like on some Flash TV shows, for those who have seen it, the bunny metabolism is so like fast and churning that she needs extra energy, and they happen to just go on the nose and say, you need to eat carrots and you'll be fine. So I saw it more as that and less like you specifically need carrots.
I hope you're right. And if it's a one-off where, yeah, she needs to worry about her energy levels and it happened to be carrots this time, that's fine. And if it is more of a like an energy level thing, I could live with that more. But I think I like the idea of the flaw in their powers, but I hope they deal with it well, because up to this point I basically had zero issues with the show. And again, this is not a huge issue, but it's like I wasn't worried after the trailer. I wasn't worried after episode 1. I'm not even worried after episode 2 because they got so much right. But this is like, is this a seed of something that's going to go really wrong later? I hope not, because they're doing good. You know, they're really doing good, and I don't want to see them mess up. Like, and again, in another season, I might have been like, well, that's another dumb thing. Whatever, we'll get. But it's like, oh, don't ruin it. You could have a perfect game here.
It's so early; it could go either way.
Yeah. Samrayak says, sure, going to form a dependency on carrots. I see a drug problem issue coming up due to it. You got too much of the orange in you. Don't you tell me what to do. Hop, 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 hop.
I just like how for Blue, how it's like, I'm really hot-headed like a monkey. It's like, I guess.
Yeah, it's not perfect, but again, if they were all explained that way, I would have way less of a problem with it. Like, his worked the best.
They should have just went across the board and be like, you're cured when you eat carrots, you're cured when you eat bananas, you're cured when you eat catnip. And then it's just done.
Right. So they get over that, and then very quickly she's like, well, let's talk about who the leader should be. And the other two are like, not us, him. And he's like, oh? And what is it? She says something like, he's like, I don't know what to say. And she says something like, you should say, sounds fun. Or what does she say?
I don't remember, but it was something like, sounds great, thank you. Or
yes, and then he's like, sounds great, thank you. Which, it's simple comedy that we've seen, but it's like, it's classic comedy. It always works, Say goodnight, Bigdawg. Good night, Bigdawg. Like, it always, it just always works. I would give this episode an A-. Like, I know we didn't rate the last one. Like, I don't even know if we're going to keep rating them, but I say an A- mostly for the weird cat and carrot gimmicks. Yeah. Because if it wasn't for that, it would be an A or an A+. It's very, very good.
I'm going to say a B because the dog thing bothered me more than it should have.
Okay. I mean, it bothered me too, but it bothered you more than it even bothered me.
It bothered me. The little nitpick thing about the Morphex, how the villains are using it, that's fine, whatever. Right. The thing I said about the gorilla of like, you really made me dislike him a little bit more than I wanted to. Like, I went in from last episode after the show, going into this, I'm like, I feel like I was a little unfair toward Blue. Let me go in a little more open-minded. And then he's like, I should be the leader. No, I should be the leader. I'm like, okay. And then immediately in the midst of that is like, I'm just going to be a huge jerk, and we're not going to explain why for a little bit. And I'm just thinking like, this guy's just a total jerk. I don't like him.
But they did explain it, but you still were angry and couldn't get over it.
They did explain it, but I'm like, I think underlying you're just a jerk. But no, overall, I think it was a B.
I'm still surprised just a B, but go ahead.
Well, here's the thing. It's a B right now because of the uncertainty of the animal subplot.
I'm just judging it on its own merit. I'm not worrying about what comes next. I'm like...
At its highs, it is an A-. At its lows, it is a B.
So doesn't that make it a B+?
I'll go with that.
All right.
Fair compromise.
Okay, so we're going to wrap up because it's about 6:30. We've been going for a while. Let's see. Erzuki says, you have to try gorilla DNA spliced Okay, I'm not gonna say that. Samurai Ox is kapow. So you can see up above me the art that I had worked on. It is Scrozzle. I felt like he's a new American-only character. You know, the voice actor was nice enough to give us a little shout out on Twitter. So I'll do all the Beast Morphers eventually, but the Rangers that is. But with all the episodes, I said, you know, who knows? It'll always be Power Ranger related. Might not always be the season. Might not always be a hero. But Scrozzle's who we got today. It looks like I probably won't be able to finish it, but I could the video won't finish rather, but I could post this up. There is the finished art, so you could just see what it would look like at the end, which is it's almost done. I had a little bit of a hard time with the coloring because even taking screenshots from the show, like I think I got the colors right, but I kind of had to take some creative license. Maybe if a figure or something comes out, I'll be able to get it. Often when there's a Japanese version, I could find screenshots from like the books and production and stuff, but since it's American only, like all I have is this one episode and the screenshots I looked at. But there's Scrozzle. I don't know if his voice actor's watching, but if so, hey, there you go. Thanks for watching. And if not, well, hopefully you all like it.
Yeah.
So one last thing I want to talk about, which I'll probably bring up the next couple episodes too, is we had said we went to Power Morphicon last year, and that was a good time. This year they're doing Power Morphicon Express in Pasadena, Texas, and that's coming up in less than a month. I think it's 3 weeks. You will not be there, but I will.
I will not.
I won't be promoting the show or anything as we're not that big, but I will be there selling Power Rangers art, headshots. I'll have Megazord, a few other things. I'll probably have some from Beast Morphers. I'll definitely have Red. I mean, maybe if there's demand, maybe I'll make a Scrozzle. There's the Red. That's, you know, I'll have him. And I try to have a headshot of every actor that will be at the show. That's my goal. At least one, if not more. And I don't know what that video is doing over there. Let me turn that off. Boop. There we go. But yeah, so in conclusion, Beast Morphers looking good. Power Rangers always good. I'll be at Morphicon Express. Thanks everybody for coming in. Oh, Deli Girl came back right as we're leaving. Thanks everybody who's been watching. If you've been lurking, if you chatted, if you're watching this later on YouTube, that's awesome too. I've noticed that these videos are getting pretty decent views on YouTube, so that's cool. I'll keep posting them there. If you have any requests about things you'd like us to talk about in the news section or anywhere else, more toys, less toys, talk about old season, whatever. You know, it's mostly about what's current, but you know, if you throw stuff out, we're happy to talk about it. Even if it's questions you want us to answer on air, whatever. It's all good. So, anything else you want to say, Bigdawg?
Just to kind of reiterate on the questions thing, I really appreciate everybody who's been coming out. Obviously, the shout out this week was really cool. In regards to what you guys like, what you guys don't, what you guys are wondering, feel free to let Gaz or myself know on social media or the YouTube videos. It's the easy place for us to really look. And I mean, we're doing this, obviously, we love to talk about Power Rangers, but also for everybody else. So if there's stuff specifically that you're interested in or want, let us know, because we'll talk about just about anything Rangers related. And if you point us in a certain direction, we'll just go full speed ahead. So
agreed.
Thank you guys very much. One note in terms of you mentioned toys. I have strong feelings that I forget her name, but the yellow
Roxy.
avatar.
Well, Roxy's the name of the character. Anyway, go ahead.
That she will be in wave 2, I believe, of the toys. We mentioned, I believe, last week that they're starting to hit in Canada, so it should be Blaze Avatar, Red, Blue, Yellow, and then the Henchman. And then beyond that, we'll kind of see what else
they should be hitting,
release.
I believe, around March, right? In this country, and also the Lightning line should be showing up around March as well. So
March, April, yeah.
And supposedly the second wave of the Lightning line will have Beast Morpher Red in it with with his unhelmeted head. Hopefully they will scale. I've heard that they're both 6 inches, which would mean that the Lightning line and the regular line will scale together. If not, I'm gonna have some choices to make, but I hope that's how it goes, because I prefer the Lightning line, but they don't have everybody, so you know, it is what it is.
I'm doing both either way.
Let me check chat real quick. Erzuki was saying about she says before you judge Blue, try having gorilla DNA, is what she was saying. Ox says he concurs. Dali came back. Ox says episode 3, everyone gets a hug. Woof woof. And Dali Girl says yay hugs. So on yay hugs, we'll say goodbye. I'm gonna replay the opening, and have a good one. And we are us.
Thank you very
much. May the power protect you.